What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully everyone's doing well out there today, and welcome to this week's Trade Target Show. That's right, a new show that we're offering here in the 2022 season where we'll have it drop every single Friday, outlining some players that maybe you want to look to try to trade for, or maybe want to try to trade away. Now, if you've watched our videos for the last week and a half, we've been telling people, don't panic, don't worry, don't panic sell your players too quickly. Don't just give them away for nothing because you're pissed off at a week one performance. But there are still owners out there that are panicking, and we got to try to find some realistic players to go after or to trade away. Obviously, yeah. Do you want to go out there and trade for Saquon Barkley? Of course you do. Our owner's not going to want to trade him, so that's kind of pointless to talk about. We're talking about realistic guys that maybe you have a chance of going after in your league. Let's go ahead and kick it off right here at the top, talking about the Arizona Cardinals. First, you got DeAndre Hopkins here, somebody that I would actually try to maybe trade for. One less week for you to worry about to stash on your bench before he's back in week 7. Maybe the owner who drafted DeAndre Hopkins had a rough week 1, and he's just looking for somebody that can help him right now, and he doesn't want to wait any longer for DeAndre Hopkins. You can go in there, offer a wide receiver 3, somebody who's stashed on your bench. You're not overly really worried about needing right this second. Maybe you already have a couple stud wide receivers. DeAndre Hopkins has an opportunity to sit on your bench for the next few weeks, and then all of a sudden, second half of the year, maybe you're looking at having 3 wide receiver ones, and you didn't really have to give up much to get him. He's definitely someone to pay attention to. Nobody we're really trading away in Arizona at this point. Atlanta, not too many options. Same with Baltimore and Buffalo. Like I said, obviously there's some pieces there that we want. We want Cordero Patterson, right? We want Lamar Jackson. We want Mark Andrews. We want Josh Allen. These guys aren't being traded away, so we're not going to sit there and waste a bunch of time talking about them. For Carolina, you got DJ Moore. He just played 100% of the offensive snaps, so he's on the field. He had 6 targets in that game and averaged over 14 yards per reception. In the box score, though, it didn't look that great for DJ Moore. He's definitely somebody that a lot of people are giving up on. He's going to be arguably the top target in this offense come year's end. We're seeing Baker Mayfield throwing the ball down the field a little bit more than maybe expected, and not an overusage, I guess you could say, of Christian McCaffrey. So DJ Moore is somebody whose targets are going to increase, and a guy that I wouldn't mind having thrown into a trade right now. Now, maybe you're looking at this and saying, yeah, but who do I offer? Those are great questions, but without seeing your lineups, without seeing your teams, without seeing your opponent's teams, it's almost impossible for us to sit here and tell you who to give up, because we don't know who everybody has in your league. We don't know league size, a lot of other questions. If you're looking for more detailed answers like that, you got to become a member. You got to join our Discord, because people are in there all the time dropping, screenshots of their teams and asking questions, and people all over the place helping out. If you sign up for the excessive Chubb tier, you also get direct access to me and Kyle's DMs. So they're talking about teams all the time. How about we go down to Chicago and Darnell Mooney? A lot of people just look at the box score and say, like, man, Darnell Mooney didn't do anything. I still find it pretty odd that people don't realize that he played in such bad weather last week. All they see on paper is 3 targets in 1 catch, and they don't realize what actually went into that ball game. He's going to be the number 1 target in this offense, and he's definitely somebody that I am intrigued in going after if the owner is kind of in panic mode. Nobody really at this time for the Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, Dallas Cowboys players. I know a lot of people. I get a lot of questions about CeeDee Lamb and Zeke and Pollard and what do we do? Here's the biggest issue with Dallas. They all just lost so much value by not only the offensive line injuries, but also the injuries to Dak Prescott. These guys don't have a lot of value right now. So if you're going to trade them, you're going to lose out on that trade. If Dak Prescott was hurt rest of season, maybe, but there's a chance that Dak comes back in 5-6 weeks or so. Kind of have to wait and see, and you could really have a stretch run with some of these players still. It sucks right now, but you don't want to just make trades and lose out on them either. Nothing really for Denver at this time. For Detroit, we got DJ Chark as somebody who I'm interested in. Really overshadowed on this offense with the likes of DeAndre Swift and even Amon-Ra. People aren't thinking about DJ Chark too much. He's somebody who we actually included in waiver wire videos earlier in the season, but he saw 8 targets last week. He has big touchdown upside every single week. You know the Lions are going to be trailing and throwing every single week. And last week, he also saw 3 deep targets down the field. Big play potential, touchdown upside, and targets are there as well. Not a huge name value player, but we've seen DJ Chark put up some numbers in the NFL before. He's definitely a name I'm paying attention to. For Green Bay, it's Aaron Jones. Everybody's looking at this situation and be like, AJ Dillon's the number 1. No. He's really not. It's more like 1A and 1B, and we told you all that was going to happen all season long. There's going to be games where Aaron Jones outshines A.J. Dillon too. It's going to work out that way. Green Bay has already come out and said, listen, we need to get this guy more involved after week 1. But here's what a lot of people really aren't paying attention to. Aaron Jones, when touching the ball last week, did some crazy things with it. Averaged 9.5 yards per carry and also ran 22 routes as a receiver. The guy's going to be utilized going forward. They're going to have to if they want to win games in Green Bay. Aaron Jones is somebody who I have not given up on at all. And if people have and they want to give him away, he's definitely somebody who I would gladly take. Houston, Indianapolis, not too much there for Jacksonville. You got Travis Etienne. Everybody sees James Robinson. They remember the past couple years and just assume James Robinson is going to be the exact same thing. I love the story of James Robinson. I love to see him out there producing. But how is that torn Achilles, the rehabbed Achilles, going to handle an entire 17-game season? I don't know if I want to bank on the fact that he's going to be 100% good to go all year long. Now, Etienne dropped a touchdown pass on the goal line last week that would have given him right around 14 fantasy points or so. Had that happened, we're not even talking about Travis Etienne. But it did happen, and people are already worried. He still averaged 11.8 yards per carry and 10 yards per reception. This guy is a big playmaker who's going to get touchdown opportunities, and now Jacksonville doesn't suck like they have in the past. They have enough weapons on offense that at least they're moving the ball down the field and giving themselves opportunities to score. So Etienne on my list is somebody I would trade for. Kansas City, nobody's really going to part, with those pieces too well. Las Vegas, I'll actively go after Josh Jacobs if I can. He had a disappointing week 1, only scored 6.5 fantasy points, but he also averaged almost 6 yards per carry and had 1 reception for 16 yards. But that was a super tough matchup in week 1 against the Los Angeles Chargers defense. Now he's got upcoming matchups against the likes of Arizona, Tennessee, Kansas City, Houston. Better days are a-coming, and Josh Jacobs is somebody that I'll gladly take off of somebody's hands. For the Rams, I have Darrell Henderson as a trade away, and here is why. More than likely where you drafted Darrell Henderson, he isn't a need for your fantasy team. He's probably your running back 4. He's probably your running back 5 at this time. You probably have better running back options on your roster. Maybe you have other holes though. Maybe you went super heavy on running back and you need yourself a wide receiver. Right now, the value is super high for Darrell Henderson because everybody thinks Cam Akers is basically done and Henderson is just going to have the bulk of the touches for 17 games. This is a guy that hasn't proven to be able to stay healthy for 17 games, and you have to expect that as soon as Cam Akers gets a little bit healthier, as the season progresses, he's going to regain more and more and more work, which means less and less value for Darrell Henderson. His value will never be higher probably than it is right now. If you were in need of something on your team, Darrell Henderson is a piece that I would part ways with if I had to. For the Chargers, I'm going after Josh Palmer with the Keenan Allen injury. Josh Palmer just saw the field 75% of the offensive snaps. He tied for the team league in targets, and he's free in a draft. Nobody even probably knows who Josh Palmer is. If you're making a trade with somebody, see if they'll include Josh Palmer. And if they do, they really don't care. And you may potentially have the wide receiver 2 for the Los Angeles Chargers if Keenan Allen misses any length of time for whatever reason. Josh Palmer is a free throw-in. Miami, not really anything here at this time. For Minnesota, Adam Thielen is somebody who I'm going after. He had a lower ADP during draft season anyway, so people aren't really overly reliant on Adam Thielen this year like they were in years past. He kind of had low production in week 1, but he still played 95% of the snaps. He's still getting red zone looks, and all that single coverage is going to be coming his way because opposing defenses are going to have to double team Justin Jefferson every single week. He's also got upcoming matchups against Detroit, Chicago, Arizona, Washington, games in which he can really exploit the secondary, put up some bigger numbers. I don't mind Adam Thielen if you can get him in a trade as well. New England, New Orleans, the Giants, not really anything at this time. The Jets, how about Elijah Moore? That's a name that I will go after. He has a low week 1 output himself, but with the quarterback play of Joe Flacco, when do we get Zach Wilson back? A lot of question marks. He still has a chance to pop with Joe Flacco, and once he does, you're probably not going to have a chance to go out there and get him. Don't forget last year in a game with Joe Flacco under center, Elijah Moore went out, had 11 targets, 8 receptions, 141 yards, and a touchdown with Joe Flacco as his quarterback. This guy can put up huge numbers. I do not expect Corey Davis to really lead this team in targets from the wide receiver position much going forward. Elijah Moore, one of the bigger play options in this offense, and you have to expect him to get more and more volume as the season goes on. Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, nothing really right this second. For San Francisco, Brandon Ayuk is another one of those guys that people are kind of like, whatever, and they don't pay attention to the fact that he also played in that horrific weather game this past weekend. But we saw that big playability even in that bad game. The guy only had 2 catches, but had 40 yards, and one of them was a 31-yard reception. He's not the defense's top priority. As of right now, George Kittle's still not 100%. How much do we see of George Kittle here in the coming weeks? Brandon Ayuk has some big play potential in an offense that may be a little bit more big play dependent. We got some banged up running backs now. The sky's the limit for Brandon Ayuk, and a lot of people are already giving up on him. He's definitely a name to go after. Nothing really for Seattle. Tampa Bay, I'll look at, selling Julio Jones. A lot of people may not be overly interested in it, but if you're a good used car salesman, you may be able to spin it a little bit to people. Chris Godwin's dealing with a hamstring injury right now. Mike Evans is drawing the top coverage from the defenses. Julio Jones is kind of in this Diet Debo role right now, where you've even seen him take some carries out of the backfield. He showed chemistry already with Tom Brady, and he did it all while scoring under 10 fantasy points still. So he's not like somebody that you just can't part ways with, but maybe if you're a good salesman, you can say, listen, the resurgence of Julio Jones is here. With Chris Godwin not 100%, dude's going to get a big chance, and maybe you can flip him to somebody who doesn't pay too much attention and just recognizes the name of Julio Jones. For Tennessee, nobody really right now. And then for Washington, Terry McLaurin is somebody who I would consider trading away. Now, this one is hard, but with Jahan Dotson a part of this team now, he's going to take away a few of those big plays that we've seen Terry get over the years. Plus, now we're seeing Antonio Gibson being a little bit more involved in the passing game. Curtis Samuel is healthy for right now. He's involved in the passing game. Logan Thomas just came back. Terry McLaurin has some big name value. Plus, he only had 4 targets last week, but he did turn one into a big touchdown score, which boosted his overall production. So when you got those people that are just looking at last week's production and their score, they're not going to see a bad number. But Terry McLaurin is somebody who could lose some of that upside as the season goes on due to these other weapons in this offense and Carson Wentz's ability to push it down the field. If you can get something great in return, Terry McLaurin is a name that I would consider if you have a need on your roster. So there you have it. It's week 2. Not a whole lot just yet. As the season progresses, we're going to have more and more trade targets to not only buy, but sell also. So make sure you stay tuned. Do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're going to be talking trade targets every single Friday. And if you have questions about trades, leave them down below in the comment section. Even though myself and Kyle can't get to every single comment, we got the Lone Boner, Matt Galloway out there in the comments as well. Dr. Ethan Turner is in the comments as well. Headliner Nation themselves. There's a lot of knowledgeable people in this community that are always looking to help people out. So leave those trade questions down below. I'm sure somebody will try to help you out the best that they possibly can. But for now, I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day, a great weekend, and we'll talk to you later.